Okay, I wrote a paper and I'm going to be reading it word for word. It's along about 36 pages, but I will go ahead and get started. My name is Peter Reynosa, and I'm in the city of San Francisco. The title of this YouTube video is How Living is the New Business Model of Porn Actors. I will be making the argument that there is a new business model being practiced by adult actors in the pornographic film industry, and I will be explaining how this new business model is being caused by market forces. I will also be explaining what living is and how living is now the way the vast majority of adult actors. Let me repeat that. I will also be explaining what living is and how living is now the way the vast majority of adult actors make the majority of their income. I do believe what I am going to say is very important information. Sorry about that. Helping to promote a more honest view of how sex workers exist in their present working conditions in the pornographic film industry. And while there is a tendency in academia and business world not to take pornography and its economics seriously, I believe the economics that make up the porn industry should be taken seriously because it deals with how a labor force earns its living. And it should be noted it is one of the most marginalized of labor forces, both because it deals with sex and all its rawness, and also because it has a reputation for being a sleazy and unethical business. And the actors that work in the adult film industry are a labor market and should be seen as one. This information may also help many adult performers and people who work in the porn film industry see how their business is changing. And this information may also help those who are pondering over whether they should become a porn actor, now seeing more realistically what this line of work will be asking and expecting of them to do. My research method for dealing with this subject matter mainly consisted of reading books and articles, online and in print, and also watching documentaries, films, and informational YouTube videos. Now let us talk about what a business model is. A business model is a method of how a business makes its money. It is how a business creates its revenue and makes a profit. Many internet websites use the business model of getting a bunch of people to come to their websites and then getting advertisers to pay them to advertise on their website. Some people who buy and sell houses work by the business model of buying a house that can be improved and then fixing that house up and then reselling it at a higher price. And I should also mention that market forces are the economic factors that affect the price, demand, and availability of a service or a product. And government actions are not usually considered a market force because government comes from outside the market. An example of a market force might be a hurricane that destroys all the oranges in Florida, causing oranges to be more higher priced because there are now less of them for sale. Another example of a market force would be when people get their news from the internet, causing newspapers to have less readership, which leads to less advertising dollars, which leads to less revenue for newspapers, which leads to less newspapers. Finally, there is another word we need to mention. I've coined the term living to help us in describing what now is occurring in the adult porn industry. It is spelled L-I-V-I-N-G, just like the word living, but it is pronounced living. Living is having a sexual experience with someone at the same moment in time, either in person or through the usage of some technology. And you can use the present tense for be live. And the definition of live is to have an experience with someone at the same moment in time, either in person or through the usage of some technology. Several examples of living are prostitution, stripping, and webcamming. And here are two examples. She makes a lot of her money through living, mainly stripping. The porn industry is a business that has a lot of living in it. But this word the closest word I could find that I thought of using was real time. But this word had no sexuality to its meaning. We had a real-time conversation on our computers. Real-time texting is very popular now. And right now, I will say what the new business model of porn actors is. So as we go through this discussion, you'll be able to see more clearly what I'm talking about. Okay. The new business model of porn actors is to make porn movies and use the publicity they get from making these porn movies to do living, knowing that it is in living where most of their revenue will be coming from. It should also be mentioned that the pornographic film industry is part of the sex industry. The sex industry, sometimes called the sex trade, is made up of all the businesses that make money by providing products and services related to sex. The sex industry can also include pornographic toys, films, magazines, sex shops, sex theaters, and strip clubs and prostitution, legal and illegal, and even the practice of sex trafficking. The pornographic film industry is very close to many of the other parts of the sex industry, often intertwined and overlapping, especially for its actors, where one vocation often leads to the other. Later, I will describe how the sex industry is now all nearly one industry, at least to the pornographic film actor, excluding the sex trafficking part of the sex industry. And it should be stressed that an adult actor is not a stripper or a prostitute, but because all three of these professions are part of the sex industry, they do become hard to distinguish to the average person. An adult actor is someone who has sex on camera in a pornographic movie, a film where explicit sex is shown for sexual arousal. As I said, sex trafficking is part of the sex industry. Usually it is found in less developed countries. Porn actors in America are sometimes the victims of sex trafficking. But what I will be talking about right now is an American porn actor who chooses to be a sex worker. And a sex worker, whether a porn actor, stripper, or prostitute, is not a victim of sex trafficking if they choose this line of work voluntarily and are older than 18. And I will not be discussing if pornographic film promotes sex trafficking, because this is another subject completely, and also the question would not fit into this particular discussion. Often, I will not be using statistics and demographics and concrete numbers and exact figures when discussing a topic when the porn industry, simply for the fact that no one knows what these numbers are. Sorry about that. And I'm doing this simply for the fact that oftentimes we don't know what these numbers are. Statistics and demographics and data research are extremely lacking in the porn industry. What does the research say? What are the scientific findings? Is this fact-based information that can be scientifically proven? These questions require documentation, and in the world of porn, public documentation is very rare. More records, documentation, were published and kept in the pre-internet days when things were physical and easier to see and count. And yet, many things that can be learned and said with much confidence by using a variety of sources. Sorry about that, let me repeat that. And yet, many things can be learned and said with much confidence by using a variety of sources, even if exact figures and numbers cannot be known. I will speak more about patterns and trends occurring in the porn industry and how these things are affecting its workers than talking about exact figures and precise statistical details. Our goal would be to give knowledge of the real world of the porn industry and to dispel some popular claims that are no longer supported by any evidence. Adult actors earn their living in a world without transparency. In fact, the porn industry is the blindest of all our professions that is a legal profession. How big is the porn business in America? One is given many possible numbers. Once it was claimed to be as high as 10 billion. Now, usually it's said to be about 2 to 5 billion. It's a big industry, but exactly how big is a mystery. Even trying to figure out how much web traffic on the internet is related to the sex industry is daunting. Some people stating it's around 6% and others believing it to be as high as 24%. America is still number one in the world of hosting porn sites and creating content, either in videos only or feature-length movies. And its porn actors are the highest paid in the world, so I am told. I found this idea stated indirectly by certain successful porn actors, but I could not confirm this by any statistic. And American porn actors are the most successful and sought after in the world. Yet this is mainly but not completely true and changing rapidly. The porn industry hides or maybe just does not know how many adult movies actually are being made. Before the internet consumed the industry, some numbers were given, the highest usually being around 15,000. And the porn industry also hides or maybe just does not know what is the number to how many of these films are feature films. B movies, tiny budget movies, several scenes and a little acting videos, or just one scene videos. Production and studio companies of pornography are private companies, and the vast majority of them do not let out what they make and how much they pay the actors and people that work for them. The revenues are not usually made public. And they are the ones who pay the porn actors, although many times they hire a producer or a director to make a movie and have that person pay the actors out of a budget they give him or her, letting him decide how much to pay the actors. And we're not given any idea of what the average adult performer earns. Adult performers exist in a pay scale of invisibility. Payment often depends on which company you are working for, what is the budget of the film, what is your sex, men make less than women, how successful you are in the business, what physical sex act you are going to be doing, how popular what you are going to be doing is selling at the moment, and even how new you are to the business. Many times big names were mentioned and how much they earned. We are told of the millions of Jenna Jameson, Tracy Lords, Jessie Jane, and Alexis Texas, or we're told how much they make. And even if these numbers are true, which I tend to believe is true, this information still doesn't tell us how much all the other porn actors are making. I came across many people stating claims to what the business paid its actors. Some people who said these numbers were in the business itself as directors and producers and actors, while others were journalists and academics. The major agreement was actors are usually paid by the scene and sometimes by the movie, but mostly by the scene. And also, an agreement was that a girl under a contract with the agent for a production company usually made more than the regular girls who were not agented and had no contract. Although being under a contract was rarer nowadays than before the internet. Many of the top girls are not under contract, but often they are agented. I couldn't find what percentage of adult actors have an agent. It should be stated that it should also be stated that porn actors are almost always independent contractors. I found a lot of articles and books that said how much porn actors were making. Often what they said was similar. Sometimes these estimates were very different, and at other times these estimates were vague. One person would say a girl scene would make an actor $1,000 a scene, but another person would say $700 to $1,200. Someone would say male actors get paid $500 a scene, and another person would say male actors get $700 to $2,000 a scene. And one person said a female actress averages $50,000 a year, and male actors average $30,000 a year. It seemed like all the people that decided quoting numbers simply got their information from several sources and then decided to pick one source as being more reliable than the other. And the vast majority of porn being done is not part of a feature film, but simply part of a film title of several videos. And some videos are made for certain pornographic websites or connected as being part of a pay-for premium package on some tube site. And while doing pornography for videos was done before, now it is done a lot more often. So I'm sweating to death here. While it might be possible that one of these accounts is true, or at least more likely to be true than the others, none of these claims could be scientifically verified, and much of this information left too many questions unanswered. How many people earn this much? What is the difference one company pays compared to the other? How often does a regular porn performer work? How many are gainfully employed? How many only partially employed? How many are partially employed? What city pays the most? Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami? What does the average porn actor make a year? How many porn actors are trying to find work? In other words, how many active porn actors are there in America? Excuse me. And even though all these questions may not be answerable in detail, they will all help lead us to how the new business model for actors in porn industry works. Now let us look at the old business model that adult actors once used. The American porn film industry came into existence for the most part in the 1970s, especially with the popularity of the movie Deep Throat, which came out in 1972. Yet some say the 1971 movie Boys in the Sand was the first mainstream pornographic hit, and believe it was here when the American porn film industry started to become popular. The adult movies that came out in the 1970s were primarily shown in adult movie theaters. The 1970s is also known as the golden age of porn, and this is because during this decade, adult films were often made as feature films with a story and a plot. And many of the actors also believed they were creating works with artistic merit. Yet many of the pornographic films that did come out were just about explicit sex and had very little story structure within them, and a lot of them did not make it to a movie theater but ended up being seen on private film projectors. Many of the films consisted of small budgets, but some were bigger budgeted. And many magazines like Playboy and Hustler and Penthouse were popular at this time too. At this time period, the business model for adult actors was simple. They made money by doing porno films that came out in adult movie theaters and private film projectors, and many also made money by doing photo shoots for a variety of porn magazines. And always in the business model of the porn world, stripping was done by some adult actors. And also always in the porn acting world, some porn stars did engage in prostitution. While the 1970s had some of the most successful adult films come out, like Deep Throat, Behind the Green Door, The Devil and Miss Jones, and Debbie Does Dallas, many of its actors only did a couple of films and so made only a tiny bit of money. But there were some very successful porn actors who did a lot of work in the 1970s. Exact figures are difficult to come by in this era as far as it relates to how much money porn actors made in the 1970s. In the 1980s, the business model for adult porn actors would remain roughly the same, although the pornography business would change. It was in the 1980s when VCRs that used VHS tapes became popular, and cable and satellite TV became popular too. This meant that people could now watch porn simply by paying for an adult channel, or simply by purchasing a porn movie through pay-per-view, or simply by renting or buying a VHS tape from a local sex shop or video store, or ordering one through the mail. And all this meant that people could now watch adult films in the privacy of their own homes, and because of all these options, most people stopped going to the adult theaters. And even though porn switched from being done on film to being done on videotape and didn't have as big as budgets as the 1970s, still many movies were made and people still watched a lot of porn. Okay. Adult actors in the 1980s continued to make money by doing adult films and photo shoots for porn magazines, and because cable and satellite TV and pay-per-view became popular, there was more work for adult actors. More markets to sell porn was good for the porn business, even though I found several sources that talked about how work and pay struggles for actors in this decade often occurred. But there seemed to be many more porn actors who thought it was a good business to make money at this time than a bad business. So let me repeat that. Who thought it was a good business to make money at this time. Many thought it was a good business. In the early 1990s, pay-per-view and cable and satellite TV spread even more, and the business model stayed pretty much the same. The mid-1990s saw the growing of the internet, and the internet grew slowly but became stronger by the late 1990s, but still it did not come close to threatening regular porn. The 1990s did make many porn movies with small but decent-sized budgets. By the early 2000s, the internet was definitely starting to have an effect on the porn market. Porn magazine sales, like all magazine sales, were soon declining, but the decline had not turned catastrophic yet, but it definitely was a concern. And also digital video cameras for consumers started to become popular. They would become popular for usage of making pornographic films too, but later on. The internet was starting to significantly influence things, yet the main parts of the porn industry were still doing well. DVDs replaced VHS tapes and were doing well, and cable and satellite TV and pay-per-view were strong in sales, dipping some, but still strong. In fact, many performance and production companies discovered a way to make money by using the internet. It was by creating a porn website and putting photos and later some video content up, and charging a fee to have access to viewing this material. The first 3 or 4 years in the 2000s, customers were willing to pay for viewing this kind of porn. The internet also gave production companies and adult performers a place to advertise what they sold and who they were. Some porn actors also became producers and directors, professionally taking advantage of the way the internet works. And email and MySpace and Friendster were creating a closer link between fans and porn stars. Also, people began texting, and soon after that came sexting. Also, virtual reality sex became more popular as technology became better. While personal appearances and product advertising started mainly in the 1980s, both became more popular with the rise of social media. Product advertising is rare, and only the top porn actors actually do this, but personal appearances are common for a lot of porn stars to do. At this time, the internet was not the arch enemy of the porn world. It was seen as a new way of marketing porn and seemed to have unlimited potential. And porn often led in usage of new technology, almost always giving the porn business an advantage over the other industries. And the internet was opening up new opportunities, from being able to connect to a lot more of other countries to giving the opportunity for more businesses to try their hand in the porn internet industry. So the business model for an adult performer remained doing films, photo shoots, much less of them, and now also making money by being connected to a website that charged money for customers to see the content. Many adult actors actually even created and launched their own websites and found people willing to pay to see their content on their website. The idea of cyber pornography that existed online, was becoming popular. But by the year 2004, the internet started to really become more popular, and that was because broadband and Wi-Fi were just starting to become really popular. People began to go more and more to the internet for their porn. And sales in all the markets started to drop significantly. And when the Great Recession came in 2007 through 2009, the porn industry found itself faced with a catastrophic decline, one that has continued to the present day. At this time, sales for pay-per-view and DVDs and Blu-rays plummeted. How bad was the fall? The internet caused the adult film industry to lose large amounts of its revenues from when the internet first started in the mid-1990s at the low end 70% and at the high end 80 to 85%. And I came to these figures primarily by listening to what people were saying about the porn business. But these are numerical estimates that are just estimates. The internet turned out to be the perfect storm to the adult film industry. And although they felt and saw changes coming, most leaders in this business believed that the internet would help the porn world make money. They believed that someone would come up with a good and profitable business strategy. This never happened, although some good profiting does occur in the porn world, but it is nothing compared to what the porn industry used to earn. And while many production companies went under, those that didn't had to cut costs, and usually severely. And this meant less decent-sized, budgeted movies, and some of the pornographic production and studio companies were absorbed by bigger companies. While While the porn movie budgets have always been small compared to Hollywood movies, now many of them became tiny and with hardly any film crews. But some companies like Vivid Entertainment and Wicked Pictures have kept up decent budgets and high quality. The San Fernando Valley turned into the Valley of the Damned for the majority of porn stars. Las Vegas and Miami were also hard hit by these changes. And so now I will discuss the market forces and how they caused the porn industry to decline significantly. And I will then explain how these same market forces caused a reaction that created a new business model to be adopted by porn actors. And even though many people are aware of the fact that the internet completely changed the landscape of pornography, few are informed to how the internetization of porn actually occurred. Computer availability and technological improvements came out in the late 1990s and in the early 2000s that allowed for the general population to both have access to the internet and to have a very fast internet service. The affordability of personal computers and access to broadband and high-speed Wi-Fi meant that the majority of people who owned a computer could now get the internet and good internet service. And the variety of devices to use to connect to the internet, smartphones, tablets, laptops, made linking to the internet easier and easier. The streaming services also improved greatly, changing the way people experience the internet. Social media also became very popular, mainly because of its early use. Actually, social media usage became an expected thing to know about in society. From teenage communication to school and businesses, it became an everywhere thing. Today is Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube, but earlier it was MySpace and Friendster. And as social media became popular, more porn actors began using it. Social media has made porn actors much more connected to their fans, creating an interactivity with them that just 2 decades ago would have seemed unimaginable. While social media has made the internet the most social of all our technological activities, the structures of it allow it to also be the most anonymous of all our activities. One can enjoy porn completely anonymously, and because of its anonymity, a fan of a particular porn star can have a very intimate relationship with him or her without even the porn star knowing the person's identity. And with so many mobile devices, this relationship of anonymity can take place almost anywhere the fan so decides. Porn actors are conscious to what a fan wants. While once such a relationship would bring warnings of dangerous and creepy, now it is very common and almost without such warnings. One of the major changes in American society has been the normality of pornography nearly everywhere because of all the devices used to connecting to the internet. Mass pop culture is not at war against pornography, but wholly supportive of it. Much of the stigma has disappeared regarding the wrongness of it being viewed, and to many is part of the sexual revolution and a necessary part of sexual liberation. Another thing that very much promotes pornography as normality has been the private communication companies being allowed to be almost uncensored. And what happens in the private communications world eventually comes to the public communications world, which is still censored a lot, but not nearly as much as it used to be. While dire warnings, mainly from religious and conservative groups, have condemned pornography and its omnipresence on the internet, there has been very little concrete stirrings to actually stop it. Although some radical feminists argue for how it was horrifyingly sexist and violent and misogynistic and should be more censored, the vast majority of Americans, both men and women, no longer fight for the riddance or censorship of pornography on the internet. Except for children and adolescent teenagers being exposed to pornography and the concerns of sex trafficking, most of the pornography of the internet has been allowed to exist uncensored. But a major concern of children and adolescent teens being too easily exposed to internet porn has led to some filtering and blocking software, but lately these concerns have seemed to almost disappear. The fear of sexualizing our youth is not as strong as it once was. Teens having access to internet pornography is now normal, if not acceptable. Protecting our youth is now mainly a family concern and not a social one. Many believe it was the relative quickness of porn becoming normal on the internet that caused it to be accepted. While there is some truth to this, the real reason it became acceptable on the internet is because it became acceptable in society before the internet. From movies and magazines to sex channels, pornography was established as the norm. The internet just made it an everywhere now thing. Of all the things that have affected the porn industry that are related to the internet, none is as impacting as its accessibility. Many in the porn business like the fact that its fans and customers got more access to porn. This had always been a good thing in the porn business. Yet it is the fact that not only could they get access to watch porn, but now they would have access to put up porn to be watched too. Independent, amateur, international, free, and pirated porn, all these problems for the porn industry were caused by accessibility. It was accessibility to consume and create and produce and distribute pornography that caused the porn industry problem. But let us now look at how each of these types of pornography was affected by the internet. While independent porn not part of a production company, has always existed, it exploded as the popularity of the internet grew. Many porn actors worked for big porn companies that tended to be mainstream, not for independents. Yet some found work among independents, and while some indie porn did traditional porn mainly for men, many of these smaller companies focused on representing traditionally marginalized people. From female porn focused on meeting a woman's needs, to LGBT porn and niche and fetish porn, these independents usually promoted a view not covered at one time by the big porn companies. Some female independent websites created content to oppose the mainstream body ideal of white, thin, young, and cisgender. Their number one goal is to celebrate diversity and variety, and to many of them, diversity and variety is empowerment. With the spread of cyber porn, independents also have grown. Most of these indie porn businesses do not make a lot of money, and so do not usually pay that well to work for, but some do. And with so many of them coming out, it has meant more porn competition for regular porn, which mainly is where regular porn actors earn their money. As amateur porn also has always existed for a long time, it also exploded with the internet porn explosion. Amateur porn is porn not done by professionals. Some amateurs do it for fun, some to promote a belief in some form of sexuality, and some do it to try to break into the porn business. All this do-it-yourself porn and homemade porn has taken a large amount of the profits away from regular for-profit porn. And while it existed before and always took away some of the profits from the porn business, it never had an easy way to get to the consumer. Some amateur porn is as good as or nearly as good as professional porn. There's also reality porn, which is professional porn that tries to look like amateur porn. And the amount of porn done by amateurs is staggering. And this amateur porn has definitely taken away a lot of the profits from the business of professional porn. The internet has also led to porn becoming a global experience, a world phenomenon. American porn actors had a clear advantage in porn before the internet. And while American porn has always competed with porn from other countries, they were easily above their competition in technology, but also in status. American porn was the most popular porn in America and also around the world, only France being in close second. America was also the first country to have professional and famous porn stars, while the rest of the world mainly had amateurs doing porn movies. But now, because of the internet, an American porn star is competing with a guy from Mexico and a woman from Russia. And these countries pay less. Porn is made much cheaper outside of America. So now American porn actors are competing more directly with the outside world. And because porn videos are more popular than porn movies now, many times people don't care what the nationality of the actors who are in these videos are or what language they speak. And so now being an American doesn't help as much, especially when videos are only being watched, when people are only watching videos. The one thing the American porn world was not ready for was the idea or fact of a free porn. And free porn, from independents, amateurs, foreigners, and even professionals, has also devastated porn world prices. Has also devastated the porn world prices. Free anything is the arch enemy of capitalism. This affected the porn world beyond description. I'm selling a hamburger, and across the street, someone is giving away hamburgers. Yet, there's one thing popular porn stars still have: their copyrighted work. And this definitely does sell if you are popular. But the internet has also hurt the porn industry here too. Most of a porn star's work is pirated, stolen, and then very quickly ends up on a free porn website. It is downloaded or copied and then uploaded to multiple websites. And this happens with exceptional speed. A porn actor is always advertising what they are doing and when their work is coming out. In the pre-web and pre-digital era, the fear was unauthorized VHS tapes and DVDs being sold and bought illegally. Now piracy is internet piracy. But why can't they stop this? They have legal rights. Tube sites, websites that work a lot like YouTube, like Pornhub, allow a lot of videos to be uploaded and usually only take something down only after it has been requested. It takes time, energy, and money to get your videos taken down, and then it pops up again. There is a Digital Millennium Copyright Act, but its takedown policy is extremely ineffective and burdensome. Many people believe it is a law without any teeth. But how can these companies that run tube sites do this? Isn't this suable? Yes, but it does hardly any good to sue them. There is one giant company that owns a lot of porn sites, and many accuse it of being a monopoly and causing a lot of these problems. It is the largest company in the porn world, and it is an international company. And while many people in porn think it is unfair what they do, what they and other companies like them do, no one in any government is going to help them take on this giant international company. The world focuses its outrage on human trafficking and sex trafficking and horrible working conditions of prostitutes work in poor countries. And no one is going to help American sex workers complaining about unfair practices. As I said, the world focuses on sex trafficking and horrible conditions of poor prostitutes in poor countries. No politician wants to waste his or her energy taking on the big business of porn. What the manufacturers and purveyors of porn do doesn't warrant much concern. And while some people blame this giant company for causing all these problems, the fact is that all these problems would probably exist if this company wasn't around. It would simply be done by a bunch of big and tiny companies, which is now the case except for the one super big company that now exists. And also hurting the porn industry is how most consumers focus on videos on large video porn websites like Pornhub instead of watching a full-feature porn movie. But how does a company create a tube site and make any money? They give away a lot of free porn. Where is the profit in that? Tube sites make money in three ways. They get a lot of traffic and so do make money from advertising. They also make money by providing premium services that cost you. In other words, pay us $10 a month and you will get a lot more services and the better videos. And they also make money by affiliation. That is, they make money whenever someone links over to another website from their website. Say you see a video called Dead Mothers, and it has a link to a website that focuses on people having sex with people who look like they are dead. If you go to that website by this link, they get some money. And even though it is a little fee, thousands and thousands of little fees add up quickly. And what did this tidal wave of competition do to the porn world of acting? It led to an era of oversaturation in the porn industry. The porn industry is in a permanent state of being flooded by too many adult performers. Many porn production companies went under, and this has caused a dramatic drop in the amount of porn movies being made, especially those of higher budgets. And less movies and more more very short videos are now being done. And this dismal glut market has meant that porn actors have to do more extreme hardcore sex with often no pay increase. They also receive less pay for doing more work, and some of the higher priced sex acts are now considered normal pay work. While the music industry and Hollywood are being decimated by the effects of the internet, they have not come close to the devastation of what has happened to the porn industry. What has made this tragedy more tragic is the fact that porn actors live in a blind industry, and many aspiring adult actors still think the porn actor system still works by the old business model of primarily making porn movies and doing photo shoots to make their money. A strange phenomenon is also occurring in the world of porn. Sex is everywhere in our society, from videos to movies, from advertising to pop culture. Yet, the pay of pornographic sex workers has gone down substantially. So while sex is more in demand than ever and society is more sexual than ever, the pay for pornographic actors is incredibly low compared to what it used to be. If you listen to what porn actors have been saying in recent documentaries and what books about pornography have been talking about, the incredible decline of porn revenue from acting is obvious. Yet, at award shows and in a lot of interviews, and especially in a lot of news articles, the porn actor is still paid very high. The popular image of a successful porn world that is largely fiction still exists, despite obvious facts contesting it doesn't exist. Yet, market forces not only cause a catastrophic fall in the wages of porn actors, they also cause this labor force to change to one where acting in a pornographic film would not be the main way porn actors make their money. It has been a slow process, but there has been a major shift in how actors of porn now make their money. And this gradualism took place over years. What happens when there is too much competition and most of your work gets pirated? How does a porn actor respond? Many have taken second job, like many in the past have had to do. Some try to make it in the regular acting world, but this is difficult. But there is more success now in doing this than in the past. Many retire and often very young. The porn world is still very much a world of ageism. And like some in the past have had to go into another part of the sex industry, stripping and prostitution, many of the porn actors also have done this. Yet it is not the same. In the past, this kind of sexual work supplemented a porn actor's income. Now this type of sexual work is the source of most of their income. When adult performers noticed that photo shoots were rare and didn't pay as much as they used to, and when they also became aware of the fact that there was a lot less porn shoots and that pay was dramatically dropping, they began seeking other ways to make money as an adult actor. They were forced into finding alternative means of income. Many still wanted to be in the porn industry, were not making enough money to stay in this industry. They especially hated how their work was being so easily pirated. And then gradually, many of them sought out work that couldn't be pirated. This was all done by gradualism and often by accident. As I said, stripping, now called feature dancing, and prostitution, now called escorting, many began to go. Let me repeat that. As I said, stripping, now called feature dancing, and prostitution, now called escorting, many began to go into. And also in this new economic order, and also as this new economic order established itself, so too did the business of social media. Porn actors got into social media because of experience to it before they entered. Calm down. Porn actors got into social media because of exposure to it before they entered the sex business, or as a necessity because your competitors were using it to compete with you. Knowledge and practice of social media became a must. And with this growing presence, the sharp separation between a porn actor and a fan began to go away. Before social media, most actors only came in contact with a porn fan at some convention or personal appearance. Some saw their favorite porn stars stripping, but many porn stars at this time would not strip, and if they did strip, they still had no way of letting everyone know where she was going to be stripping. And never could it be imagined that your fans would be aware of what you were doing as you were working and where you would be at this working doing this work. In other words, they become aware of everything you're doing because you put it up on social media. The intimacy of a fan's presence is now accepted and promoted. What you are doing and where you will be is information you let out and promote. And this relationship had an impact on how and what you did as an adult actor. When porn actors started focusing on things that couldn't be pirated and things people would pay to experience live, living began becoming more popular. Webcamming was one of the major things porn actors learned. Many people who like porn are willing to pay for it as a living experience. A porn actor can be on a camera, a webcam, and be doing what a group of people or a private single person sexually wants. Many porn stars now webcam. While this act can be pirated mainly as a result of someone recording the webcam show and downloading it and then uploading it, most people prefer to be part of the interaction as it is occurring live. And with today's mobile technology, one is simply an email or phone call away from watching their favorite porn star in person doing what they sexually want them to do. The live webcam market is presently booming, and many porn stars offering live performances via webcams. Webcamming was the result of the technological changes that had occurred in the porn industry. Live streaming and instant messaging made this possible. Cam girls or webcam models came to be because streaming services and social interactivity allowed it to happen. A known porn star could now be seen live for you to see and talk to, alone or in a group. These live performances showed how a porn star's name and image could be monetized, and figuring out how to monetize their names became the goal. Adult actors know a person can be all over the internet and still be making hardly any money. One sex scene can turn into many videos: redheads having sex, lesbians on the beach, women in bikinis, and so on. And seeing your name and what you do on many porn sites also does not mean you are making any money. And a lot of people visiting your webpage doesn't bring much money in, but if someone pays you, then money comes in. And people are willing to pay for a webcamming show. Many adult actors have come from the world of stripping, and many who were in the porn world often after their porn careers came to an end took up stripping. But up until recently,